My name is Jenny Mitich. Long ago, when I was a teenager, 13 or so, I was first diagnosed with depression and anxiety. And I went to a counselor a few times, and I believe didn't start with medications or anything like that. But I ended up self-medicating. That was my path. I did a lot of drinking and smoking weed up until I was about 16, and then in came the cocaine. At that period of time, Oxycontin was a big deal, kind of at like 17, 18. Fell into that, and then that evolved into heroin addiction from the ages of probably 19 to 25, 26. And then during that period of time, I ended up going to several different rehabs for that addiction. And in the rehabs, I did do a lot of different psychiatric medications. At one point, they diagnosed me with bipolar disorder. I don't think I actually was bipolar. I think a lot of that was just withdrawal from the drugs. But I was on just so many different psych meds during that period of time. Ended up getting clean. And I was still drinking a lot of alcohol, though. I was off the drugs. But yeah, getting my life together and all of that. And I feel like with the anxiety and the depression, when you're drinking a lot of alcohol, those tend to stick around a bit. So I was dealing with panic attacks often. I used Xanax as needed to treat that. I didn't take any, I got off all the psych meds probably late 20s, in my late 20s, just because I had so many side effects from them. There was one that worked really well, and then I started to get these horrible, like an allergic reaction. I think it was called Stevens Johnson syndrome or something, where I was getting big red welts on my body and I couldn't take it anymore. And it was just, it was killing my organs. So I was like, I shouldn't probably take those anymore. But yeah, got off the meds, used the Xanax as needed. But then as I got older, I kind of started to not enjoy drinking as much anymore. The day after you have some drinks, you start to feel worse and worse the older you get. And then I came to the carnivore diet about 2.5 years ago, and through that process, I have pretty much stopped drinking. I probably only drink maybe 4 times a year, and it's like one drink. So yeah, it's been quite the journey. I'm now 41, so all of these mental health things started when I was 13. So it's been a long road. I didn't come to carnivore to see improvements there. I came to carnivore to lose weight after a twin pregnancy. I had gained 70 pounds. So it was more of a vain thing, but there were so many benefits that I didn't expect, including the mental health improvements. So the biggest thing for me was I no longer had anxiety attacks, none. In the 2.5 years that I've been on carnivore, I haven't used Xanax at all. I don't even have the prescription anymore. I don't need it, which is amazing because that was debilitating. I never knew when they were going to hit. I could be driving or it was scary. And I used to always have a bottle of Xanax on me just in case, and I haven't had to do that. That was amazing. As far as the depression, yeah, huge improvements there as well. I always say I'm operating at a much higher optimal baseline. So I just feel more even keeled. I things don't bother me as much as like I don't overreact to things. I kind of if something bad happens, I'm like, okay, let's sit for a minute, evaluate it, and move on. Whereas before, it could have ruined my entire week or month. You know what I mean? So yeah, huge improvements, unexpected improvements using carnivore. Sure, I'm only human. I've definitely had cheat meals, high carb, high sugar cheat meals on carnivore. And every time I do, I regret it. So I think one of the most stark examples of this is when I do a lot of dairy. The next day, or if I do several days in a row of dairy, I will feel the most mental health symptoms of any other food. It's interesting. I feel like kind of the wind has been taken out of my sails. I feel a little bit more negative. I'm always very positive now if I'm not doing the dairy, and I start to get a little bit of like depression, anxiety symptoms again. Just a couple of servings of dairy. If I have a really high sugar, high carb cheat meal, I've had a bowl of cinnamon toast crunch in the past 2.5 years. That's my favorite cereal. And I'll tell you, I was hurting afterwards. Like my knees started hurting, the depression, the anxiety started to come back. And if you go down that rabbit hole for too long, everything starts to come back. It's pretty amazing once you've cleared out everything else, especially on carnivore, because you're just eating animal products. Um, Man, it comes back quick, like within a day, sometimes within a few hours. So I have what I like to do is I store that experience in my mental Rolodex. So if I eat a cookie and then I feel like crap afterwards, I try to remember exactly how it made me feel so that I will start to associate that feeling with that cookie. And then the next time I see the cookie, I'm not going to be like, that looks delicious. I'm going to be like, oh man, that made me feel like crap. I don't want to eat that anymore. And that's been really effective for me. But it can be hard sometimes. I don't really try to get on the whole guilt train. We're all human. We're going to have setbacks. What's important is just getting back on track. And this has happened several times to me in my 2.5 years on carnivore. And every time I get back on track, I'm like, I remember why I love carnivore, because everything just clears again. So that's kind of what I do. I think the number one thing is with food, you're not going to be dealing with all of the side effects, you know. Um, I think in our modern diet today, especially with gluten and dairy and all of the food dyes and just all of the different stuff that's on sugar, everything, once you clear out all that noise and you get down to, real whole food, and it doesn't have to be carnivore. I'm not one of those people that thinks you have to eat carnivore. I think therapeutic ketogenic diets can be done with all different dietary philosophies. But really getting to that whole real food is important. And once you do that, it's so amazing how many people I've talked to just in passing that it's like the fog lifts. I think our brains are just constantly deluged with all of this crap that we really shouldn't be eating. And when you clear that out, that's half the battle. That's not even half. It's probably like 80% of the battle. I mean, of course, it's not going to be a magic bullet. It's not going to take care of everything, but man, it takes care of a lot. So I always just tell people, try it for at least 30 days. I think at least 90 days is optimal, but 30 days is lower commitment. So it's easier for people to wrap their minds around. Start there and just see what happens. That's all you can do. And most of the time people are like, oh wow, okay, there's something to this, and then they stay on it. But yeah, that's my advice for sure.